Well, ladies and gentlemen, The Last of Us 2 is officially out, which also means user scores are now out as well, and well, did anybody expect anything different than this? Come on, we all knew this was gonna happen. We all knew the decisions they made in regards to story, to character development. We all knew that Neil Druckmann straight up Doctor Who'd The Last of Us Part 2. But here it is once again, because there's always the major disconnect between the woke SJW outlets and the public. This is why more and more of these outlets are shutting down and more people are turning to YouTubers and independent reviewers rather than these shills masquerading as actual reviewers. Because check it out, critical consensus is still high. It went down by 1 point since the last 2 videos that I made, but it's still sitting at a 95 out of 100. Versus a 3.3 user score with almost 20,000 ratings. And whether you agree with this review exploding that people are doing, don't want to say the word. Like, you may not agree with a lot of the zeros, and I don't either. We're gonna get into that as we look at some of the reviews, but you have to acknowledge that people are not digging this game. And just from a simplistic argument, if this many people don't like the game, it's definitely not 100 out of 100, as we've seen dozens of these outlets give it, and definitely not even a 95 out of 100. But let's take a look at some of these user reviews, because I don't inherently agree with giving things zeros, much in the same way I don't agree with giving anything hundreds. But I do understand why it has to happen, because obviously we just talked about how the media is hyping this thing up in unrealistic fashion, so it has to be brought back down to level in unrealistic fashion. And it's especially justified when it's going against a company that's done such shady things as the copyright abuse from Sony and Naughty Dog. I mean, recently they had Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers suspended from Twitter for posting memes of The Last of Us Part 2. Again, copyright abuse is illegal, so I'm still waiting for a person to just sue the crap out of them. I don't understand how they're getting away with this, but point being, when a company is this grimy, I do not feel bad at all when they get review exploded like this. You reap what you sow, you know what I mean? So anyway, here's some of the user reviews. Top user review right now is from Lex9093, who gives it a 1. First off, critics are useless. Completely agree. Nobody should ever listen to them ever again. They've proven to me that they are not to be trusted, because they aren't. On to the review. Graphics, that's the only good thing about this. Everything else is either mediocre or downright awful. The gameplay did not evolve one bit since 2013. It's still a walking simulator that's more a movie than a game, which would be enjoyable if it had a good story, but goddamn is it bad. The story simply broke my heart, and not in the good way. It's like a spit in the face of the entire fanbase. It's like the worst fanfiction you could possibly find. Seriously? This is what you came up after? I think he's saying, this is what you came up with after 7 years? Did Twitter rate this game? It's full of plot holes, and the characters you fell in love with in the first game are completely ruined, and you are forced to play with a character that ruined them. I don't mind the woke stuff, but when so much of it is obviously forced down your throat, it feels like the entire game was built around it. So if people don't like it, you can pull the victim card and say that they are ists and phobes and whatever. And the director to preach so much about, I can't say that word, women in games is bad, only then to put that Abby scene in the game? I can't unsee that. What the fuck were you thinking? I'd rather watch two girls, I don't know if I can say, we all know what it is, right? On repeat while eating. Let me tell you a little secret, Western game devs. People are playing games for entertainment, and they'd rather see pretty things while doing it than fugly ones. This is never going to change. How is that word again? Men was never an issue. People don't like to be preached to and to be told what to think. In a video game setting, that choice should be always ours, and should always be ours. Overall, I don't recommend this, especially if you are a fan of the previous one. Maybe buy it when it's on a massive sale. Shame. 282 out of 317 users found this helpful. So the game gets 1 point just because it has good graphics, apparently. Everything else sucked to this person, so I mean, a lot of the criticisms are fair, and he actually put the time to explain everything that bothered him about this game. And he actually goes in that point that says, like, SJW stuff is not, bothersome. It's just bothersome when you do so much of it that you can use it as a crutch, and I agree with that sentiment. SJW stuff doesn't bother me either, except when it's being shoved in my face, like, you see this? You see this? Look at this. You need to like this. You need to like this because we say you should like this. And I'll just be sitting here like, wow, I didn't care until you did that, but now fuck you. How about you worry about making something good and let me judge whether I should like it or not, dickhead? Anyway, let's look at more reviews. Diddy87 gave it a 0, thoroughly disappointed with the story. Gameplay and graphics are the best the PS4 has seen. However, the line, "this can't be nothing," is literally not true. Once you finish it, it literally has been for nothing. Save your money. See, this is what I'm saying, where I get why you're doing the whole give it a 0 thing, because on the other side of the fence, we have the critics giving it 100, right? But I mean, this is not a 0 out of 10 review. He said the gameplay and graphics are the best the PS4 has seen. That alone warrants at least 1 or 2 points, right? That's 2 factors of the game that you think are the best they can possibly be. If we were to do the whole Metacritic thing and try to guess what the score of a review like this would be, it'd probably be like a 3, a 4 at best. Next review. Hello There 23 gave it a 4 out of 10. This franchise is all about the story. Without the story, the game means nothing. This game does have great visuals and great gameplay, but the main focus needs to be the story. The story just isn't good, and it tries too hard to make you feel sorry for people that you immediately don't want to feel sorry for. And the ending tries so hard to make you feel sad without making any logical sense. Now we'll quickly sift through a few more because you get the pattern here. People hate the story. 4 out of 10. Pros: gameplay, graphics, atmosphere, sound, and music. Cons: story, character design, character development, and plot holes. Crisis Core 20 gave it a 0. This game is not bad because of SJWs. This game has poor, contrived writing that is trying to prove a point. It is forced and unconvincing. In addition, you have gameplay from 2013 and NPCs that speed up and slow down like GTA 5 in 2013. I remember others complaining about Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018 was behind the times. I wonder what those people think about The Last of Us 2. The Large 93, 0 out of 10, a spit in the face of the original, nonsensical narrative, and a total disregard for beloved characters. How did this make it to print? 3 out of 10, poor story. 3 out of 10, it's just a story that really peeves me. Story. Story. Story? Story. Do you see a pattern here now with a story this fucking bad? How did it get that many 100 out of 100 reviews? And then try to argue that the outlets are not paid to give those reviews. Again, not literally. Check out my last video if you want to know what I mean by that. The media is such a joke, man. And just to exemplify how much of a joke the media is, we have Paul Tassi back on the channel once again, our favorite writer from Forbes, ladies and gentlemen. Because when there's social justice crap in video games, Paul Tassi's peen goes ting-a-ling-a-ling. And that hard-on rages as he defends these companies, these poor frail companies, from us horrible, toxic cyberbully fans. The Last of Us Part 2 is getting predictably user score exploded on Metacritic. And yeah, we can agree, it was predictable, because we all knew the story was gonna suck. Well, we should have seen this coming. Who didn't see this coming, dude? Anyway, The Last of Us Part 2 has only been out for a few hours, yet there's already a war raging over on Metacritic. The game is the newest battleground for user score exploding of a major release, where it has a 3.4 out of 10 as opposed to its 9.5 out of 10 critical consensus, which puts it as one of the top reviewed games of the generation. Critical consensus. What a condescending piece of shit. I'm already seeing this being used as ammo for the critics are so out of touch with mainstream audiences argument, but no, that's not what's happening here. Yes it is, you dumb fuck. For some context, The Last of Us Part 2 has been out for exactly 7.5 hours in the US. In some regions like Australia, it debuted late yesterday, but it's a 25 to 30 hour game, so unless people are doing blitzing speedruns and then immediately going to Metacritic to post angry 0 out of 10 reviews, these scores are made up of people who are either only a few hours into the game or more than likely have not purchased or played the game at all yet. Also, the story's been leaked for a while. People have posted videos of the story in its entirety. People have watched full-on playthroughs of the video game. They could have watched that and then played the game, then reviewed, so they already know what's gonna happen, but now that they felt what the gameplay was like, they can actually review the game. Also, you're not the only ones that get review copies. A lot of people get review copies, so a lot of people actually have played the game in its entirety. We're not allowed to review the game yet because they were not part of a publication. Now that the game's out, embargo's done, you can review the game. Also, I mean, goddamn, there's so many arguments against this, Paul. How did you think this was a good argument? Also, you don't have to play a game in its entirety in order to review it. If within a few hours of playing the game you think the game is trash, it's well within your right to say the game is trash. You may not be able to say the story in its entirety is trash unless, of course, you watched all of the leaked footage of the entire story, but if you didn't, you could say the story so far sucks, or the build-up is so slow that I can't even sit here and try to get through it. The game sucks so much that I can't even finish this game, sort of thing. It's well within your right. I don't understand what the fuck Paul's argument is here. Right now, half a day into release, in some regions, The Last of Us Part 2 has amassed 5,015 user scores. The Last of Us 1 has 9,628 user scores for its entire lifespan, so yeah, something fishy is clearly going on. Or the public has just become aware of your bullshit and is trying to combat that now. Ever think about that, Paul? Why are people exploding the game? There are likely 3 reasons. 1. The game's prominent use of are you seriously? Ma'am and LGBT characters. Did you read any of the user reviews, Paul, or is this just a fucking shot in the dark? This is quality journalism right here, guys. My god. I can almost assure you that the people who don't like this game for this reason, as a percentage, is measurably less than what your integrity is, Paul. 2. The spoilers for the game that leaked out ahead of time where, context-free, many people did not like the plot turns revealed, that were given context with the leaked footage and all the gameplay and all the... Jesus Christ, man, this guy. 3. Perhaps some who have played the initial hours and don't like the game, albeit scoring it a 0 out of 10 for clunky controls after a few hours seems extreme. Oh my god, an actual valid reason. Wow. And one that we brought up. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, so I agree with you that if they do give it a 0 out of 10 just for it having clunky controls, that is extreme. Don't agree with it. I do not recommend you read the user reviews as they are full of spoilers. Instead, read only trusted sources like Forbes and Time magazine. I can't say this is an organized campaign because anytime you say that, you get asked to point to one specific organizer, which is rarely possible. But I'm gonna say it anyway, even though I can't prove it. What? But I do know a number of angry gamer YouTuber types that have been ranting about the game since the leak, so I would not be surprised to count some of their viewers among the user exploders here. Again, can't prove it, but I'm gonna make the accusation anyway. Oh god, Paul, Mr. Integrity Tassi. Holy shit. Do I think that yes, everyone must agree that The Last of Us is a 9. Last of Us Part 2, dummy. Last of Us Part 2 is a 9.5 out of 10 like most critics? No, and I do think it's worth examining some critical non-scored reviews of the game from the likes of Polygon, Kotaku, and SkillUp, albeit they're certainly not 0 to 3 out of 10s if the criticism was translated into a number. Yeah, but I've also read them and they're nowhere near even a 9, let alone a 10, so. However, this is not your usual critic versus fan divide. This is very clearly 0 out of 10 exploding by thousands of players who have only played a few hours of the game or have not played it at all, basing their entire scores on a few leaked cutscenes or plot points. Nope, the entirety of the game was leaked, dummy. I mean, my god, how do you not know this? I would expect that Metacritic may take some kind of action here as they don't take kindly to these sort of campaigns. I still think they need some sort of verification system that you at least own the game to post a user score, and Rotten Tomatoes has recently instituted something similar for film. The Captain Marvel thing, guys. I mean, that's why people don't go to that site anymore though, so they can, but people will turn on it. Because this is just silly, and I don't think anyone should read anything into the quality of the game based on these, air quotes, unbiased truth tellers that are currently mobbing the game. Why, are you unbiased, Paul? Paul Tassi, ladies and gentlemen, completely reliable source of information. Female lead in a video game, his peen goes ba-doing doing doing. If they're a POC, my god, it goes on the edge, and if they are LGBT, it just might explode. But the fans have spoken. The video game sucks based on the story, and you know, whether or not you agree with the zeros or not, they're just answering the ridiculousness of the other side. So I mean, it's just a battle of the polar opposites, the consumer and the corporate shills. You can't argue that when that many people dislike a major aspect of a video game, such as the story, that it deserves 100 out of 100 or 10 out of 10. That is just ridiculous. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, smash that like button and subscribe with all notifications on so I can see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, I will see you there.